Hey friends, it's that time of year again where we are maybe committing to doing December daily projects, and I thought that I would start this year by doing an overview of my last year's album for 2016, and then in the next video I'm going to show you what I'm going to use for my 2017 album. I debated long and hard if I was going to do this project this year because I just was not sure if I was up to it. However, after seeing the new materials that I got from Felicity Jane, which I'm going to show you in the next video, and of course, going through some of the content that I learned taking Ali Edwards' December Daily class about 2 years ago, I was re-inspired to give it a shot. Now, this particular album, this 2016 album, is about 2/3, maybe a little bit more done. However, I still have a little bit more that I want to put in the album, but I wanted to walk through it because I got some requests to show you my 2016 album. I'm also going to post some pictures on the Victoria Marie blog so you can take a look at some of the snapshots of this particular album. Now in 2016, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So this is a 4x4 album by Becky Higgins, and this was gifted to me from one of my scrappy friends. It has gold hardware here on the edge, and then of course here on the spine, and I simply just added the year 2016. My focus for this album was to keep things simple, and plus I wanted to explore with this 4x4 size to see if I like it. Now my two takeaways from using the 4x4 size is, yes, it's super cute. I was able to get a lot of really great elements and stories inside of this album, given the fact that it is so small. But the other takeaway was that there's sometimes in this album where there wasn't enough space for me to go into the stories that I want to go into and that type of thing, which would require me to adding more things to the album to accommodate what I wanted. So while I love the 4x4 size and I won't abandon it, maybe for other projects, because I really like it, it's so cute. I think for 2017, no, I don't think, I am for 2017 going to do a 6x8 album. So you'll see that in the next video coming up. So let me walk you through this album real quickly. When you turn the page, I come to my title page here. It says DD 2016. Now with Ali Edwards' project, what she usually does is she starts with an intention or some kind of purpose or focus for the album. I didn't do this for this album because I was just simply interested in documenting some of the highlights of the season. For 2017, I'm going to deep dive a little bit more into my storytelling, and I'll explain that in the other video. So what I did was I took a photo of my Christmas tree and kind of superimposed that. Actually, I took a bokeh photo of my Christmas tree. So where the lights kind of gleam and glitter a little bit more. I had some vellum on top of the photo, a Christmas tree wood veneer. I believe that was from an Ali Edwards kit, but I'm not sure. And some thickers fonts to spell out DD 2016, and I called it good. Now, everything in this album I used from my stash, so I didn't purchase anything new. In fact, doing this album was sort of a last-minute game time decision, so I grabbed all the items that I already had in my stash to complete this project. So don't feel that you have to go out and buy a whole bunch of kits and a whole bunch of materials. If you're like me, then you probably have a bunch of stuff hanging out. So if you're going to commit to doing a project like this, see what you currently have on stash before you buy something new. Alrighty, so I did day 1 through 25, and the 2017 album will also be day 1 through 25. So day 1, I took a picture of myself holding my favorite ever Christmas mug. This is a Grinch cup that I got from Barnes & Noble probably about 3 or 4 years ago. I added a tag from my stash, a little bit of fibers here with the ribbon and the twine. I was trying to create a Christmas tree using some washi tape that I had in my stash, but I forgot to add the stump, so it actually looks like a stack of presents, and that's okay. I stamped the word December from an Ali Edwards stamp set. And then on the next page, I have my number 1, and of course, journaling about how much I love my Grinch cup. Actually, I love all of my holiday seasonal cups. I'm pretty much a big collector of coffee cups in general. Day 2, I kept it super simple with a photo of my living room and all the decorations, and I usually do this so that I can remember how I decorate from year to year. There's no journaling with this, but I did spell out the number 2 using some thickers, as well as the word pretty using a little sticker set from October Afternoon. Day 3 was all about my spouse who loves cooking as a way of relaxing, and that particular night we got grilled chicken and garlic mashed potatoes and green beans, which was delicious. And so I talk a little bit about using cooking as a way to relax, and that I'm really glad that there's somebody in my house who likes to cook as much as I do, and that will cook, because I'm not going to be the only one in my house cooking. This little number 3 is again from a Thickers font set that I purchased about a year or so ago. So here's day 4, and what I did was I took a piece of vellum and I typed out the journaling. I added the number 4 to represent day 4, and then I used my tab punch to create this little tab using some 6x6 paper. Now I liked using 6x6 paper for this album because the pattern's smaller, and so it looks really good in a smaller spot. So this is a photo of my little one, and she's dancing to the Hamilton soundtrack, and I took just a screenshot of the album cover from Spotify. I was actually listening to this while cooking that evening, and then my little one, of course, was just dancing and bebopping away in the living room. I also added some puffy stickers that say good times, some 2x2 squares with the pattern paper, and then I also used an Ali Edwards stamp that I used some heat embossing and some gold glitter heat emboss to kind of make that pop on the page. Then when I turn my journaling, I'm on to day 5, and I spelled out the word 5 using some letter fonts. I want to say, I forget the manufacturer. I can't remember now, but it's some of my favorite. I had to buy 2 packs as you don't get enough letters in the pack. But I have my FI and VE to spell out 5. And so I have my little mug here of my little upside down snowman that I absolutely love. And then a picture of an album cover of one of my favorite Christmas jazz compilations on Spotify. There wasn't any journaling to go to this because there wasn't really much to say other than I was enjoying my Christmas jazz and of course enjoying a hot beverage. Alrighty, so day 6, here's a little number right here. I went and hung out with my mom at the mall. We went shopping and had brunch. I also posted pictures of a bagel that I had on my way to her house because it was going to be a while before we actually went out to brunch. A little bit of embellishing here with this little Christmas tree puffy, and it's actually on the outside of the page protector, and I love putting elements outside the page protector. If it's sturdy and it's stuck on, like it won't come off, then I'm okay with doing that. And then over here I typed up some journaling on my computer and printed it out to the size of 4x4. I also added some washi tape to add interest here, a little bit of stamping with a circle stamp. I believe this was an Ali Edwards stamp, and so I created the title Holiday, the Story of Today, adding another tab. I also stamped the sentiment, This Story. And these tabs I love using because it makes it easy to turn the page. And here's day 7. I spelled out the word 7, and I alternate doing that throughout the album. Here's a picture of my little one and her little baby dolls. And this was after school, and she was playing around. And I talk about in the journaling, again, I typed that up on my computer and added this little tag here that says, such good stuff. And so I talk about in the journaling how after school she was playing around with her dolls, and then all of a sudden I heard, "Mom, come here, you can't find me." Of course, she's sitting amongst all of her little dolls, and I love to snap photos of things like this just as documentation of the cute little quirky things she does as a little kid. Next is day 8, and I documented just a day date that I had with Aubrey, and this is her not looking at the camera because that's how she usually likes to take pictures, which is to annoy me. So she's looking as though she's looking at something interesting, which is really the parking lot. She's being a big old butthole. But anyway, we went to a seafood restaurant, and so I talk about that in the journaling. I used one of these metal rim tags, and I actually got this idea from Ali Edwards the first year that I did December Daily, and I could not find them in my local craft store. And so when I did find them, I bought like a gajillion of them so I can use them for other projects, not just December Daily. I added a Thicker's letter for the number 8 and a stamp that says "Love You So." And then a little bit of journaling about our date. I talk about how we don't go on dates often, and so it was important for us to take time out of our busy schedules, particularly during the holiday season, to hang out and have a bit of food and good conversation. Next up is day 9, and what I did was I added some pattern paper. I also heat embossed with some red glitter embossing powder this little wood veneer coffee cup, and then I spelled out the word cup up. I also have the journaling here on a piece of vellum. I added some washi tape just to sort of reinforce it so it wouldn't rip out. And then here is the picture along with the number for day 9 of 2 of my Christmas mugs. My daughter and I were craving hot chocolate. In fact, I went and picked her up from school that day and she goes, "Mommy, I need hot chocolate so bad." So we went to Target, got a whole bunch of marshmallows and candy canes. I made cookies and we had cocoa and just relaxed that evening. All right, so here's day 10, and I have 2 subjects of the photo that are blanked out because they're minors and I didn't receive permission from their parents to have them on this video. So I want to make sure that their identity is protected. But in any event, here is a 4x4 spread I did with pattern paper. My daughter and her friends, we went and had dinner with their family, who we're close friends with. Added a little tag here that says "Fa La La" for my stash. This number 10, that's a Thicker's letter. I also added this tag that I did some repetitive stamping with a LE Studio date stamp, which is one of my favorite stamps. I added another metal rim tag here and stamped in the word "Good Cheer." And then to add a little bit of texture, I added this nice thick jute here to hold that tag in place. Then on the next page is the journaling about us having dinner with our friends and how much we had a good time at their house. And then I added to the back of this vellum page, and I guess I could have just popped it in behind it. But I had, I think, an intention of doing something else in this space. But some pattern paper so that the pattern show through the vellum. Just a very subtle touch. Alrighty, so on day 11, I talk about our little elf on the shelf. And we usually have Cheery, or Cheery comes to our house, typically after Thanksgiving. And usually she'll stay in the same spot because we are kind of lazy. And so I was really impressed with my Cheery moving and posing skills last year. I actually made an effort, and in fact the journaling says we actually made an honest attempt this time. So this is our elf on the shelf, and she's hanging, holding onto 2 candy canes from our dining room chandelier. I thought I was just really clever doing that. And then over here I have these 4 pockets again, a metal rim tag, some pattern paper, an acrylic piece, some sequin, and then of course the number 11 that's mounted on some wood grain pattern paper. Going on to day 12, more of the same. I've got the metal tag, some pattern paper with a Christmas tree die cuts, and then the number 12 that's mounted on some pattern paper. I printed my photo out a little bit shy of 4 by maybe a little bit 4.5. It was kind of wonky, but I needed to have a space to where I can punch holes and put the photo inside of the album. So this is us on our way to school, on our way to take Rennie to school, and of course we took a Ussie, which of course is, I guess, you know, a selfie but with more people. I forget where I heard the word Ussie from. I have this acrylic piece here that says Mary, and I believe that also was from an Allie Edwards set, but I can't quite remember. Moving on to day 13, I made a little tag out of a 3x4 card here, added the word or the number 13 from a Thickers letter set, have some pattern paper that I trimmed down to the size of my photo so I can mount my photo on something. And then I added this rubber charm that says Joy that I've had in my stash for going on 2 years now. And the journaling says, enjoying a delicious breakfast with Aubrey at the Beacon Cafe on Beach. The breakfast scrambled biscuits and hot chocolate are amazing. And if you've been following me for some time, you know I love to scrapbook about food because I love food so much. But this is a picture of the scramble, one of my favorite meals that I like to eat, along with the hot chocolate and the biscuit. And then I added the word yum using some October afternoon letter stickers. Day 14 is all about my little one. I added another Thickers number that says, of course, 14. This is a picture of my daughter holding a broom that she was making for a project for her school. She currently goes to a school that's focused on project-based learning, a private school that focuses on project-based learning. And that particular year, the kids were studying how other countries celebrate fall and winter holidays. And I think there are at least 26 to maybe 29 cultural and religious observances and holidays between the month of November and January, right? Isn't that awesome? So she was learning about an Italian folklore character named La Befana, who, according to the legend, was either a witch or maybe just an old woman who liked to go and give presents and such to children on Epiphany Eve, or the night of January 1st, or January 5th rather. And so she gives gifts to children. And so a part of the folklore is that she carries around a broom, which is why it's debated whether or not she's a witch or just an old nice lady who likes to give gifts. So in any event, Corinne we got materials to make a broom, and they did a whole presentation on it for their end of year project-based learning activity. And I was just really impressed by how much she got into it. And of course, resulting from that, she wanted to learn about other cultural and religious observances that people celebrate during this time of year. Day 15, this is a picture of a bagel and some coffee that I was drinking. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back and start adding stories. From this point forward is where I need to add the stories, which is why I said this album's about 2/3 or a little bit more done, because there's still more journaling that I need to do. So on day 15, I got a surprise breakfast from Aubrey, which was bagels and coffee. I answered the door. There was just this knock at the door after she left like 30 minutes later. And there's a bag of bagels sitting on our front porch. And I'm thinking, who left bagels on my front porch? Well, it was a surprise from Aubrey, so it's very sweet. Also that day, I went on a school field trip with my daughter's school. They went to go see Santa Claus the Musical, which is really, really super cheesy, but they enjoyed it. I also added some sequin here and sealed this up with some washi tape just to have a little shaker action going on. Day 16, this is where I'm going to talk a little bit more about our trip to Oklahoma to visit Corinne's grandparents. We usually will see them either before Christmas or after Christmas, or they'll come down. So this was an opportunity for her to open tons of Christmas gifts from her grandparents. So I have that pictured here. This is where the 4x4 album doesn't really work for me because the pictures are so small and I had to resize them on my phone using a phone app called PicFrame, so that I can get these 2x2 photos. And now that I look at it, they're just a little bit too small. I don't get to see all the details that I want, but that's okay. So I have the number here right smack dab in the middle. Of course, you see that sequin on the other side. And this is just Corinne and her granddad having coffee, and of course her sitting in front of all the presents that they gave her that year. Day 17, we went to the Nutcracker. Typically we go every single year. This is going to be the exception because we're going to go see another show this year. So again, using another one of those thickers numbers. I had this vellum just kind of sitting out in my stash. It wasn't really holiday related, but I thought it'd be perfect. So I trimmed it down to 4x4. And then here's a picture, of course, of Corinne with a big giganto nutcracker that was sitting in the atrium of the venue that we went to see the Nutcracker at. And then this is my favorite photo of the season of Corinne and her grandparents. This is right before we went and got seated for the show. I added this little puffy word that says together. Then I wanted to add a space where I could stick our tickets in from the show. So I grabbed this little pocket from my stash, and it's a little library card pocket. Isn't this cute? I just love it. And so I put the tickets right here in the back, and then I added some ribbon to the card, which I'm going to go back and add some journaling there. And then using an Allie Edwards letter sticker set, I wrote the word story. I also have these little pom-poms that I found at the Target dollar spot last year, which are super cute. And then underneath that I have some washi tape just to accent it a little bit more. On the back of the tag are these, I think this is from Pink Fresh Studio, this little deer, and then a little tag that says Christmas wishes. And of course some more photos from the same event. Corinne, that's sitting right in the balcony spot. We got gorgeous, wonderful balcony seats, which we usually do for the Nutcracker because I don't want an obstructed view. This is one of my favorite ballets. And then Corinne, this little tiny picture of her in front of a really pretty ballerina statue. I used some acrylic accents here and some pattern paper, and this little tag says moments. And then just one more photo from that same event with Corinne and a couple of the ballerinas from the company that performed. And then I have this 2x2 tag that came in a Pink Fresh Studio set about a year or so ago that says number 17, so I thought that was perfect. Then I have these two other spots that I embellished with a puffy sticker that says great moments, and then some little acrylic stars. I also like adding packages of things that I enjoy eating or drinking. So I added this Lindt Lindor chocolate package. This is their holiday design from last year. I absolutely love it. And I turned it into a little shaker pocket. So I added some gold sequin in there to go with the gold there on the packaging, and then a little bit of washi tape because I had to cut it so that it would lay flat. I added some wood veneer letters to spell out the word yum. And then to reinforce it, I attached some vellum to the packaging and then some little reinforcers so that it wouldn't fall out. So this is day 18. I just spelled the word 18 here. So I took a screenshot of the weather app on my phone. It was 22 degrees and it had snowed and it was super cold, but it was nice, and it definitely made the holiday season a little bit more festive. We did not get snow in Texas that year, so I'm glad in Oklahoma they did. At least we got to see a little bit of snow while we were there. So day 19, I talk about packaging up some gifts for families. We did Redbox rentals, popcorn and candy in buckets for our family this year, so something that they could use and enjoy, which was super fun and very popular with our family members. And then day 21 into day 25, there's not a bunch in journaling just yet, or any really. I'm going to add that on later. But I added a photo of my daughter and I, number 20 right here in the middle. We went to the Gaylord Texan to see their Christmas exhibits. They have a bunch of activities that they do that you have to pay extra for if you want to partake in, but we really want to go see the sights and walk around and see their large Christmas tree and train set and take pictures. And we had dinner at a restaurant there in the hotel, and that was really nice. On day, and before I move to day 21, here's another photo of Corinne walking towards the Christmas tree. Really big Christmas tree there. Then on day 21, it's just a picture of all the gifts that I'm wrapping up for my family. Day 22 is a snapshot of Corinne's Christmas letter that she wrote to Santa Claus. She actually wrote that earlier in December, but I happened to misplace it, and then I found it, and then I lost it again, so I'm glad I took a picture of it. I have no clue where this little letter's at. Added a number 22 there to represent day 22. right, so day 23 is a picture of my daughter, and she's looking perplexed because my spouse likes to wrap up our gifts in a bunch of paper and tape. And so she was showing her how to wrap a gift, and my daughter's like, wait a minute, this is not how you wrap a gift. So I'm definitely going to include some narrative around that. And then we also saw Moana that day, which is by far one of my favorite Disney movies. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print a picture of the photo poster of Moana, and I have little tickets here. So I remember to add that in when I'm scrapbooking that story. Day 24 is all about getting ready for Santa Claus arrival. Again, using some thickers for my numbers. I also cut some 2x2 squares out of some 6x6 pattern paper. This is a photo of the candy salad that Corinne made for Santa Claus, and she had a little note there to tell Santa Claus to enjoy his candy salad. And then lastly, I printed out a screenshot of the NORAD Santa tracker, and this little tracker tells you where Santa Claus is, and it's a good way to bribe your kids to go to bed, letting them know that Santa Claus is not too far from our house. So Corinne thought that this was really super fun, and she likes to look at the app and say, oh, Mom, Santa Claus is here. And then, of course, I'd say, well, you better get ready because he's going to be in Texas really soon. So that was a lot of fun. Day 25, the last part of the album. Again, going to add some journaling later. Got some photos of Corinne opening up her presents. And then, of course, her in front of the Christmas tree. I use another Thickers letter for the word 25. And then the rest of the album is just a bunch of photos. And I'm going to later go back and add some stories. So we had Christmas dinner at my mom's last year. So a picture of me and Aubrey, my brother, and then all of us opening up gifts. And then I also want to make sure that I talk extensively about how my mother loves Christmas. That's kind of where I get my love of Christmas from. And interesting thing, my mother was a secretary in the federal government for quite a number of years. And so she didn't make a ton of money. She was a single mom. But every year she somehow managed to make Christmas magical for me. Now flash forward, she's retired now, and while she doesn't put up a Christmas tree, she still has tons of other Christmas things that she puts up. Many of these items she's had for as long as I've been around. And she likes to dress up for Christmas as well. So she has her Christmas t-shirt on that she got from Walmart that says grandkids melt my heart, and then some red pants and her Christmas socks and holding up her Christmas cup, and she's just so cute. So I want to make sure that I document all of those memories and why it is that she loves the holiday season so much. And then some more pictures that I'll later add some stuff to. And of course the album now ends with a photo of my daughter clonked out on Christmas Day. She woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. She was so excited. That's the only day I'm convinced that kids actually wake up early. And this is a picture later on in the night. Everyone had left. Usually when we're around a lot of family, Corinne doesn't eat because she's just so caught up in the hustle and bustle of everything. And then when everybody leaves, she decides that she is ready to eat. So this is a picture of her falling asleep about 8 or 9 o'clock at night on her plate of Christmas ham. And I actually have the plate covered up with a sticker, but the sticker says, oh dear, and underneath that is just the ham that she was eating. And I just thought she looked so precious. My mom nudged me on the shoulder and she's like, hey, look, look. And there she was, fast asleep. She was all Christmased out. All right, so that was my December Daily 2016 album, and I'll post some pictures of the album on the Victoria Marie blog. The link is posted down below. I'd say overall, if you're looking to go super simple with your December Daily, then give a 4x4 album a try. It is somewhat limiting in how much you can put in your album and of course the size of things that you can put in your album, but it can be created to sort of document those highlights of your Christmas season without it being overly complicated, which this project, regardless of whether you use a 12x12, a 6x8, a 9x12, or a 4x4, whatever album size you decide to use, just keep the process simple and focused on telling the story. So later this season, I will go back, flesh out the stories. This is going to go in my living room during the holiday season, and it'll go on my bookshelf, and I'd love to pull them out and look at them all throughout the year. All right, guys, if you haven't already, which I don't know why you wouldn't, go ahead and hit that subscribe button in the corner there. And when you do, there's a little bell indicator that'll let you know. Make sure you click on that. It'll let you know whenever I post a video on the Victoria Marie YouTube channel. Also, if you haven't followed me on Instagram, make sure you check me out. Also on Facebook, all the links are posted down below. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next video where I talk about my December Daily 2017 project.